The diplomatic mission. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the Earth diplomatic vessel Horizon, watching as the crystalline spires of the Valorian Central Command came into view. After decades of searching for intelligent life, humanity had finally made contact with an advanced civilization. The Valorians, with their iridescent skin and remarkable technological achievements, had extended an invitation that could change the course of human history. Atmospheric entry in 5 minutes, Commander, Lieutenant Rodriguez announced, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, though Sarah could sense their underlying tension. This wasn't just another mission. It was humanity's first chance to prove themselves worthy of joining the galactic community. The Horizon glided through layers of violet clouds, its hull shimming with the advanced shielding technology Earth had developed. Sarah remembered the briefing files. The Valorians were a species that prided themselves on intellectual achievement and technological innovation. They had been observing Earth for years, waiting to see if humans would develop the necessary capabilities for interstellar travel. As they descended, Sarah caught glimpses of the Valorian capital through breaks in the clouds. Towering structures of what appeared to be living crystal stretched toward the sky, their surfaces rippling with patterns of light that seemed to pulse in harmony. The sight took her breath away, but she maintained her composure. Years of diplomatic training had prepared her for this moment. "We're receiving landing coordinates," Rodriguez reported. "The Valorian High Council is assembling to greet us." Sarah nodded, straightening her uniform. "Take us in, Lieutenant, steady as she goes." The landing was perfect, a testament to human skill and precision. As the ship's systems powered down, Sarah addressed her crew through the ship's comm system. "Remember your training, everyone. We're here to represent the best of humanity. Let's show them what we're capable of." The airlocks cycled, and Sarah led her team down the ramp onto Valorian soil. The air was thick with a sweet, metallic scent, and the gravity was slightly lighter than Earth's. A delegation of Valorians approached, tall, elegant beings with skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Their movements were precise and graceful, every gesture seemingly charged with purpose. The lead Valorian stepped forward, its form settling into a shade of deep blue that Sarah's cultural briefing had indicated signified respect. "Commander Chen," it spoke in perfect English, "I am first speaker Sci-Fi. Welcome to Valoria Prime." Sarah bowed slightly, matching the exact angle her xenocultural specialists had recommended. "First speaker, on behalf of Earth and the United Human Nations, we are honored by your invitation." Silas' skin rippled with patterns of light. "We have watched your species with great interest, Commander. Your rapid technological advancement is unprecedented in our records. From primitive combustion engines to gravitational manipulation in less than 2 centuries, quite remarkable." Sarah maintained her diplomatic smile, though her mind raced. The Valorians had been watching humanity's development that closely. "We are a determined species, first speaker. When faced with challenges, we tend to rise to meet them." "Indeed." Syleth gestured toward the crystal spires. "Please join us in the Hall of Convergence. There is much to discuss about humanity's potential role in the galactic community." As they walked, Sarah noticed subtle details about their hosts. Despite their apparent serenity, the Valorians moved with an urgency that seemed at odds with their reputation for patient deliberation. Their escort was larger than protocol would suggest necessary, and she caught glimpses of what appeared to be defensive installations cleverly integrated into the crystalline architecture. Inside the Hold of Convergence, Sarah's suspicions grew. The gathered Valorian High Council members exhibited color patterns that her training suggested indicated anxiety or concern. Something was wrong. This wasn't just a diplomatic welcome. "Commander Chen," Talif began once they were seated in the circular chamber, "while we have invited you here to discuss potential alliance, we must first be direct about a grave situation that affects us all." Sarah leaned forward slightly. "Please continue." "We are at war, Commander. A war we are losing against an enemy that defies our understanding. We believe humanity's unique capabilities may be our last hope for survival. The chamber fell silent as Sarah processed this revelation. This wasn't just first contact. This was a cry for help from one of the most advanced civilizations in known space. Whatever threat they faced must be extraordinary indeed if the Valorians were turning to humanity for assistance. "Tell me more about this enemy," Sarah said, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "What makes you think humanity can help?" Silith's skin darkened to a deep purple. "We call them the Void Hunters. They emerged from the spaces between stars 6 cycles ago. Our technology, our understanding of physics, nothing seems to affect them. But we've observed something unique about humans. Your species possesses an adaptability, a creativity in the face of impossible odds that we've never encountered before." Sarah felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. This wasn't just about proving humanity's worth anymore. It was about survival, both for the Valorians and potentially for Earth itself. The real question was, were they ready for such a challenge? Looking at her team, seeing the determination in their eyes, Sarah knew the answer. Humanity had never backed down from a challenge, and they weren't about to start now. "First speaker," she said, rising to her feet, "tell us everything you know about these Void Hunters. Earth stands ready to help." The chamber erupted in a cascade of colors as the Valorian Council members expressed their relief and hope. The real test of humanity's potential was about to begin, and Sarah Chen would make sure they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. Testing human limits. The holographic display in the Valorian war room painted Commander Chen's face in an eerie blue glow as she studied the footage of the Void Hunters' latest attack. The beings moved like living shadows, their forms seeming to bend reality itself. 3 Valorian defense stations, each a marvel of advanced technology, had been reduced to drifting debris in less than an hour. "They adapt to every weapon we deploy," Silith explained, their skin shifting to a troubled gray. "Our predictive algorithms cannot anticipate their movements. It's as if they operate outside the laws of physics as we understand them." Sarah watched as a Void Hunter vessel literally phased through a Valorian energy shield. "Have you identified any weaknesses, any pattern to their attacks?" Senior Tactician Ven, a Valorian whose achievements in strategic theory were legendary, stepped forward. "That's precisely why we believe humanity might be our salvation, Commander. Your species excels at identifying patterns that our logical systems miss. You see connections where we see only chaos." "Show me the attack sites," Sarah requested. The holographic display shifted, showing a map of Valorian space. As she studied the seemingly random pattern of attacks, something tickled at the edge of her awareness. "Can you overlay this with gravitational field data?" The Valorians complied, and Sarah's suspicion grew stronger. "There," she pointed to subtle distortions in the gravitational fields. "They're not random attacks. They're testing the fabric of space itself, probing for something." The Valorian Council members exchanged looks of surprise, their skin rippling with patterns of astonishment. "In thousands of cycles of analysis, we never considered," Silith began. "Because you were looking for military strategy," Sarah explained. "But what if they're not primarily warriors? What if they're searching for something?" Before the discussion could continue, alarms blared throughout the complex. A junior Valorian officer rushed into the war room, their skin pulsing with urgent reds and oranges. "Void Hunter vessels detected in the Helios sector. They're different this time." The holographic display shifted to show the incoming threat. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Instead of the usual shadow-like ships, these vessels seemed to be actively warping the space around them, creating impossible geometries that hurt to look at. "They're evolving," Sarah muttered. "Lieutenant Rodriguez, get back to the horizon and prepare for emergency launch." "First speaker, I need everything you have on your gravitational manipulation technology." "Commander," Silith questioned, their skin shifting in confusion. "Your people understand the science, but we understand improvisation. If they're manipulating space itself, maybe we can use that against them." Sarah turned to her team. Dr. Park, remember that theoretical paper you wrote about using gravitational fields as waveguides? The Korean physicist's eyes widened. Commander, that was purely theoretical. The energy requirements alone would be manageable with Valorian technology, Sarah finished. We have less than 3 hours before those ships reach the populated sectors. Time to test that theory. What followed was a frantic collaboration between human intuition and Valorian technical expertise. While the Valorian engineers marveled at the seemingly reckless speed of human innovation, Sarah's team worked to modify the Horizon's gravitational systems according to Dr. Park's theories. This is highly irregular, Senior Technician 6 protested as they watched humans practically rebuild their sacred technology. The calibrations alone should take days of careful calculation. Sometimes, Sarah replied while helping Rodriguez reconfigure power conduits, you have to trust your gut and adjust on the fly. 2 hours later, the Horizon rose into Valoria Prime's atmosphere, its systems humming with jury-rigged modifications that made every Valorian engineer cringe. But Sarah had seen something in the way the Void Hunters manipulated space, a pattern that reminded her of old Earth physics experiments with standing waves. All hands, battle stations, Sarah commanded as they approached the Void Hunter fleet. Dr. Park, start the gravitational pulse sequence we discussed. Lieutenant Rodriguez, plot an intercept course that matches the phase variance we calculated. The Void Hunters seemed to notice their approach, their impossible ships turning to face the comparatively tiny human vessel. As they moved to surround the Horizon, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Now, Dr. Park. The modified gravitational systems activated, creating a complex pattern of intersecting fields that ripple through space. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a stone thrown into a pond, the gravitational waves began to interact with the Void Hunters' space warping fields. The effect was spectacular. The overlapping gravitational patterns created a resonance that the Void Hunters couldn't adapt to. Their ships began to lose cohesion, their impossible geometries collapsing in on themselves. It's working, Rodriguez shouted. Their spatial distortion fields are destabilizing. Sarah watched as the Void Hunters tried to phase away as they had so many times before, but the overlapping gravitational fields trapped them in normal space. For the first time, they were vulnerable. All Valorian defense stations, Sarah broadcast, target the coordinates we're sending. Fire everything you have. The combined firepower of the Valorian fleet, finally able to affect their enemy, tore through the trapped Void Hunter ships. Within minutes, the threat was eliminated. As cheers erupted across both human and Valorian communications channels, Sarah slumped in her command chair, exhausted but satisfied. They had proven that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their weapons. It was their ability to think creatively, to see patterns in chaos, and to take impossible risks when necessary. An impressive victory. Silet's voice came through the comm, their tone carrying both amazement and respect. Though I must admit, your methods were unorthodox. Sometimes unorthodox is exactly what you need, Sarah replied. But this was just one battle. Something tells me the Void Hunters will adapt to this strategy. We'll need to keep innovating. Then it is fortunate, Silev said, their skin shifting to a warm gold of optimism, that we have humans to help us do exactly that. As the Horizon returned to Valoria Prime, Sarah knew this was just the beginning. The Void Hunters would return, probably stronger and more dangerous than before, but for the first time since their appearance, there was hope. Human ingenuity combined with Valorian technology might just be the key to saving both their civilizations. The hidden threat. 3 weeks after their first victory, Commander Chen stood in the newly established Joint Defense Command Center, watching streams of data flow across multiple holographic displays. The victory against the Void Hunters had bought them precious time, but Sarah's instincts told her something wasn't right. Their retreat was too organized, she muttered, rewatching the battle footage for the 100th time. almost like they wanted us to hit them with the gravitational resonance. Dr. Park looked up from his workstation, dark circles under his eyes from endless hours of analysis. You think they were testing us? Learning our capabilities? That's exactly what I think. Sarah gestured to a new display showing recent long-range sensor data. Look at these energy signatures from the outer sectors. They're not random anymore. They're forming patterns. First speaker Xylith approached, their skin rippling with concerned purples and blues. Our analysis suggests they're gathering resources, but we cannot determine their purpose. The energy readings are unprecedented. Sarah was about to respond when a young Valorian scientist burst into the command center, their skin flashing urgent patterns of red and white. First speaker. Commander. We've decoded part of the quantum interference pattern from the last attack. You need to see this immediately. The data streamed across the main display, and Dr. Park's face went pale. That's impossible, he whispered. These readings, they're not just bending space. They're creating it, Sarah finished, the horrifying realization hitting her. The Void Hunters aren't just visitors from another part of space. They're architects of reality itself. The command center fell silent as the implications sank in. Silas' skin shifted to a deep, troubled indigo. You believe they are testing our universe? Like scientists examining a specimen. More like engineers looking for structural flaws, Sarah replied grimly. All those attacks, the probing of gravitational fields, they weren't random at all. They were stress testing the fundamental forces of our reality. A new alarm blared, and Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice came through the comm system. Commander, massive energy spike detected in Sector 7. Something's coming through, but it's bigger than anything we've seen before. The main display shifted to show a massive tear in space itself, a wound in reality that made Sarah's eyes water just looking at it. Through this impossible breach came a Void Hunter vessel that dwarfed their previous ships. A massive construct of shifting geometries and impossible angles that seemed to exist in more dimensions than the human mind could process. All stations, battle stations, Sarah commanded. Dr. Park, prepare the gravitational resonance systems. But as the defense fleet moved to engage, the massive Void Hunter vessel did something unexpected. It broadcast a signal, not in any known language, but in pure mathematics. Dr. Park's translation matrix worked frantically to decode it. It's a message, he announced, his voice shaking. They're saying, your universe has failed the stability test. Prepare for reorganization. Sarah's blood ran cold. They're not invaders, she realized. They're quality control, and our reality just failed inspection. The massive vessel began to pulse with energy, creating cascading waves of spatial distortion that began to tear at the very fabric of space-time. Around them, reality itself started to unravel. The gravitational resonance isn't working. Rodriguez reported frantically. They've adapted completely. Sarah watched as Valorian weapons fire passed harmlessly through the massive construct. Their previous victory had only taught the Void Hunters how to make themselves completely immune to conventional attacks. But as she watched the impossible vessel continue its work, a crazy idea began to form. Dr. Park, she called out, you said our universe failed their stability test. What if we could prove them wrong? The physicist looked at her in confusion, then his eyes widened as he caught her meaning. You want to? Commander, that's insane. The power requirements alone would be nothing compared to what we'll need to save our entire reality, Sarah finished. She turned to Sylith. First speaker, I need every scrap of power your civilization can generate. We're going to show these cosmic inspectors exactly what our universe is capable of. What are you planning, Commander? Sylith asked, their skin shifting through patterns of confusion and hope. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. They think our universe is unstable. Let's show them what happens when humanity and Valorians work together to prove them wrong. Dr. Park, remember that crazy theory you had about using quantum entanglement to stabilize spatial anomalies? The one that could theoretically create a self-reinforcing loop in the fabric of space-time. Park nodded slowly. But Commander, it was just a thought experiment. The risks are less than the certainty of having our entire reality reorganized, Sarah finished. First speaker, can you engineers modify your planetary defense grid to create a quantum resonance field? Sci-Fi consulted quickly with their scientific advisors, their skin flickering through calculations. It is possible, but it would require precisely coordinated timing across thousands of installations. Then it's a good thing you have humanity's best improvisers on your side, Sarah replied, because we have about 20 minutes before that thing tears our reality apart, and we're going to need every second. As the massive Void Hunter vessel continued its work of unraveling space-time, a desperate race against time began. Human intuition and creativity merged with Valorian precision and technology in ways neither species had thought possible. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore, they were fighting for the right of their entire universe to exist. The question was, could they prove their reality's worth before it was too late? Alliance under fire. The Joint Defense Command Center had transformed into a hub of controlled chaos. Human scientists worked alongside Valorian engineers, their different approaches to problem-solving creating solutions neither species would have conceived alone. Quantum resonance grid at 60% capacity, a Valorian technician announced, their skin pulsing with urgent yellows and greens. Around them, reality continued to fray at the edges, creating visible distortions in the air. Sarah watched as Dr. Park and senior theorist Venn made final adjustments to their hastily assembled quantum stabilization array. The device was an impossible merger of human theoretical physics and Valorian technology, built on principles that shouldn't work together but somehow did. Commander, Rodriguez called out from his station, the spatial tears are spreading exponentially. We've lost contact with the outer colonies. How long? Sarah asked, her voice steady despite the pressure. At current rates of deterioration, 15 minutes until total universal collapse begins. First speaker Xylith approached, their skin showing complex patterns never before seen in Valorian color language, fear mixed with determination. The planetary defense grid is ready, Commander. Though I must note that if this fails, we risk accelerating the collapse. If we do nothing, we're guaranteed to lose everything, Sarah replied. She activated the general communication channel. All stations, this is Commander Chen. What we're about to attempt has never been done before. We're going to create a quantum resonance field that will either stabilize our reality or end it faster. Every one of you knows the risks. It has been my highest honor to serve with you all. She turned to Dr. Park. Are we ready? The physicist looked up from his calculations, his face showing equal parts terror and excitement. As ready as we'll ever be. The quantum resonance field should create a self-reinforcing loop in the fabric of space-time, essentially telling the universe to remember its proper configuration. But Commander, we're basically trying to rewrite the laws of physics while they're still operating. Like replacing the engine of a car while it's running, Sarah nodded. No pressure. The massive Void Hunter vessel continued its work, seemingly oblivious to their preparations. The mathematics of its communication had become more complex, describing in pure equations how their reality had failed to meet necessary stability parameters. They're not even being malicious, Dr. Park noted, reading the ongoing transmission. To them, this is just maintenance, like debugging a computer program. Well, we're about to show them a few bugs they didn't account for, Sarah replied. Begin the sequence. Across the planet's surface, thousands of Valorian defense installations hummed to life, their crystalline structures pulsing with energy. The quantum stabilization array began to spin up, creating a high-pitched whine that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Quantum field initializing, Rodriguez reported. First harmonic reaching critical resonance. Now. The air itself seemed to vibrate as the quantum field took shape. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a wave rippling through reality, The quantum resonance began to push back against the Void Hunter's spatial distortions. "It's working," Dr. Park exclaimed. "The quantum field is establishing a baseline reality state." But their success was short-lived. The massive Void Hunter vessel shifted its impossible geometry, adapting to their intervention. New waves of spatial distortion poured forth, threatening to overwhelm their stabilization field. "They're actively countering the quantum resonance," Syleth observed, their skin darkening with concern. "Our power reserves cannot maintain this level of output for long." Sorrow watched the battle between forces play out on the holographic displays. The Void Hunters were methodically dismantling their defense, using their superior understanding of spatial mechanics to negate every countermeasure. Then she noticed something odd in the data streams. "Dr. Park, look at these pattern variations. The Void Hunters, they're being too perfect." "What do you mean?" "They're countering our quantum field with absolute precision, but they're not accounting for natural chaos factors." A memory from her academy days flashed through her mind. "They're like a computer program that can't handle unexpected variables." Understanding dawned in Dr. Park's eyes. "You want to introduce chaos into the quantum field?" "Commander, that's brilliant. They're trying to impose perfect order on an inherently chaotic universe." "Exactly," Sarah smiled. "First speaker, can you engineers introduce random fluctuations into the defense grid? Not calculated variations, true randomness." Syleth's skin rippled with surprise. "Intentionally introduce imperfection into our systems? It goes against everything we believe in, but yes, we can." "Do it," Sarah ordered. "Lieutenant Rodriguez, prepare to modulate our quantum field with random harmonic variations. Dr. Park, reconfigure the stabilization array to amplify natural quantum uncertainties." As they worked to implement her plan, the massive Void Hunter vessel seemed to pause in its reality-destroying work. Its mathematical communications became more rapid, showing signs of what could only be described as confusion. "They're trying to compensate for the random fluctuations," Dr. Park reported excitedly. "But they can't predict where the next variation will come from." The quantum stabilization field, now pulsing with controlled chaos, began to push back more effectively against the Void Hunters' spatial distortions. Where perfect order met perfect chaos, reality itself seemed to choose chaos. "Their spatial distortion field is weakening," Rodriguez announced. "The quantum stabilization is holding. No, it's growing stronger." Sorrow watched as their hybrid defense system, powered by the combined strength of human creativity and Valorian technology, began to restore proper space-time geometry. The massive Void Hunter vessel's impossible angles began to flatten, forced to conform to the natural laws of their universe. But victory wasn't assured yet. The Void Hunters had one more card to play, and the fate of their entire reality hung in the balance. The final challenge. The massive Void Hunter vessel hung in space like a wound in reality, its form continuously shifting between states of matter and energy that shouldn't exist. But for the first time since its arrival, it showed signs of distress. The quantum chaos field had forced it to expend enormous energy just maintaining its own existence in their universe. "Their mathematical communications have changed," Dr. Park announced, studying the streams of equations flowing across his display. They're requesting dialogue." Sarah exchanged glances with first speaker Syleth, whose skin rippled with cautious hope. "Can we establish meaningful communication with them?" "Yes," Dr. Park nodded. "They're adapting their mathematical language to something our systems can process more easily." They seemed curious. The main display filled with complex mathematical symbols that gradually resolved into recognizable language. "ERO in ASSES meant universe EXI bytes unexpected stability parameters. Request later exchange." Sarah stepped forward. "This is Commander Chen of Earth. We are prepared to exchange data, but you must cease your attempts to reorganize our reality." There was a pause, then new symbols appeared. Previous analysis, anti-CATED critical in NSSTABLITY in UNIVR settle comments TNTS. Your species AKSDN on NSTRATED of stability maintenance. Explain. It's not a method, Sarah replied. It's life itself. Our universe isn't stable because it's perfect. It's stable because it's constantly adapting, evolving, changing. The chaos is what makes it work. The Void Hunter vessel pulsed with new patterns of energy as it processed this concept. CHAOS as stability factor equals PRE-X. Requires IMVS tigation. Suddenly, the vessel began to reconfigure itself, its impossible geometry slowly resolving into something more comprehensible to human and Valorian senses. It was as if it was trying to understand them by becoming more like them. Commander, Rodriguez called out urgently. They're sending us something. It's their base code, the fundamental instructions that define their purpose. Dr. Park's eyes widened as he studied the incoming data. This is incredible. They're not just quality control, they're universal maintenance protocols created by something far beyond our understanding. They were created to ensure the stability of reality itself, but their definition of stability was too rigid. Sarah leaned forward, studying the complex stream of information. Can we help them understand? Show them why our kind of stability works. Perhaps, Philip interjected, their skin showing patterns of deep thought. But it would require sharing the sum total of our combined knowledge about life, evolution, and adaptation. We would need to prove that chaos and order can coexist. The Void Hunter vessel waited, its form now hovering between its original impossible geometry and something almost organic. Its mathematical communications continued. Pluropose EXDANG of FLNDMNNTL principales. Seeking understanding of biological adaptation may see 8 anisms. Sarah felt the weight of the moment. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about teaching these ancient universal maintainers a new way of seeing reality itself. Dr. Park, prepare a data package. Everything we know about evolution, adaptation, and the role of chaos in creating stability. First speaker, can you add your species knowledge as well? Silas' skin rippled with affirmation. We will share all we have learned about the dance between order and chaos. Perhaps together, we can help them understand. For the next hour, they worked to compile the most important scientific and philosophical insights from both human and Valorian civilization. They included everything from the principles of evolution to quantum mechanics, from the development of consciousness to the role of unpredictability in driving progress. As they transmitted the data to the Void Hunter vessel, its form continued to change, becoming more organic, more alive. The mathematical language it used began to show signs of nuance and flexibility that hadn't been there before. Processing NU parameters, it communicated. TTGCTNPPTTRNs within CAGOs. Stability through adaptation equals viable ALTRNATIVE to rigid order. The vessel's transformation accelerated, its structure now resembling a vast neural network made of light and energy. It was as if it was evolving before their eyes, learning to embrace the very chaos it had been programmed to eliminate. Revelation. Universe requires both order and CATOs. Binary stability assessment protocols what in sufficient. Initiating CO ampliar UKDATE. Sarah held her breath as the vessel's energy patterns shifted dramatically. Dr. Park, what are they doing? They're rewriting their own base code, he replied in awe. They're evolving, Commander. Learning to see stability not as a fixed state, but as a dynamic process. The vessel suddenly expanded, sending out waves of energy that washed over their ships and installations. But instead of the destructive force they'd faced before, This energy felt different. It was harmonizing with their reality, strengthening it. NU understanding, the vessel communicated. Redis distributing SPATIL, reinfo or CMENT plurotocioles, 2 acetyl MMOD8 ADF haptiv, stability paradigm. Across their senses, they watched as the tears in space-time began to heal themselves. The Void Hunter vessel was no longer trying to impose perfect order. It was helping their universe maintain its natural balance of chaos and order. They're not just accepting our way of existing, Dr. Park realized. They're learning from it, evolving beyond their original programming. Sarah watched in amazement as the vessel continued its transformation, its new form becoming something that bridged the gap between mechanical perfection and organic adaptation. They hadn't just saved their universe, they'd helped an ancient force of cosmic maintenance evolve into something new. But as the immediate crisis subsided, Sarah couldn't help but wonder, what would these evolved Void Hunters become? And how would their new understanding of reality change the future of both their civilizations? A new beginning. 6 months after the transformation of the Void Hunters, Commander Sarah Chen stood before the combined council of human and Valorian leadership in the newly constructed Convergence Spire on Valoria Prime. Through the crystal walls, she could see the transformed Void Hunter vessel, now known as the Evolution Nexus, orbiting peacefully above the planet, its organic mechanical form shimmering with patterns of energy that seemed to strengthen the very fabric of space-time. The Nexus continues to evolve, Sarah reported to the assembled leaders. Dr. Park's latest analysis suggests they're not just maintaining our reality anymore, they're helping it grow. The holographic display showed data streams from across known space. Where the Void Hunters had once torn reality apart, their evolved forms now served as guardians of cosmic evolution, encouraging the natural development of space-time itself. Their understanding of chaos as a stabilizing force has revolutionized our own sciences, Dr. Park added, gesturing to a series of equations. They're teaching us how to work with the fundamental forces of the universe in ways we never imagined possible. First speaker Xylith, their skin showing patterns of deep satisfaction, stepped forward. What began as a crisis has become the greatest advancement in the history of both our species. The Nexus beings have shown us that true stability comes not from rigid control, but from embracing change and adaptation. The display shifted to show the first joint human-Valorian settlement being constructed on a frontier world. The architecture was a stunning blend of crystalline Valorian precision and human organic design principles, creating structures that seemed to grow from the planet itself. But perhaps more importantly, Sarah continued, this experience has shown us something about ourselves. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't our technology or our weapons, it was our ability to think differently, to embrace chaos and uncertainty as tools rather than threats. The council chamber filled with murmurs of agreement from both human and Valorian representatives. The partnership between their species had grown far beyond their initial alliance of necessity. The Nexus beings have requested to share more of their knowledge, Sarah announced, bringing the chamber to attention. But not just their technical understanding, they want to learn from us as well. They've discovered that our capacity for emotional connection, for intuitive leaps of understanding, represents a form of cosmic stability they never knew existed. The main display showed a new message from the Evolution Nexus, its mathematical language now interwoven with poetic expressions that would have been impossible for its previous form. Understanding grows like living things. Stability found in bonds between different ways of being. Request continuation of mutual evolution. They're proposing a three-way exchange of knowledge, Dr. Park explained excitedly. Human intuition and creativity, Valorian precision and technical mastery, and their own understanding of the fundamental forces of reality. The potential implications are staggering. First speaker Xylith's skin rippled with complex patterns of joy and anticipation. Already, our combined efforts have led to breakthroughs in space travel, energy generation, and environmental restoration. But this could open doorways to aspects of existence we never dreamed possible. Sarah smiled, remembering how far they'd come from those first terrifying moments of contact. The Void Hunters came to test our universe's stability. Instead, we taught them, and ourselves, that true stability comes from growth, change, and the courage to embrace the unknown. The display showed images from across human and Valorian space, new colonies being established, joint research facilities pushing the boundaries of science, and everywhere, the evolved Nexus beings helping to strengthen and nurture the very reality they had once threatened to destroy. We stand at the beginning of a new era, Sarah concluded, not just for humanity, not just for the Valorians, but for our understanding of existence itself. The Nexus beings have shown us that even the fundamental forces of the universe can learn and grow. The question now is, what will we become together? As if in response to her words, the evolution nexus above began to pulse with new patterns of energy, creating a display of light and color that rippled through space-time itself. It was beautiful, but more than that, it was a promise of endless possibility, of growth without limit, of evolution beyond anything they could imagine. Commander Chen, a young Valorian scientist, called out, their skin showing patterns of curiosity. What do you think they're trying to tell us? Sarah watched the cosmic display, understanding flowing through her like the quantum resonance that had saved their reality. They're showing us what we showed them, that the most beautiful things in existence come from the dance between chaos and order, between certainty and possibility. They're inviting us to dance with them. The council chamber erupted in discussions of what this new partnership could mean, but Sarah's attention remained on the display above. She thought about how far they'd come, from a species alone in the cosmos to partners in the evolution of reality itself. The Void Hunters had come to test their universe's stability. Instead, they discovered something far more important, that true stability didn't come from rigid perfection, but from the courage to grow, to change, and to reach out across the boundaries of understanding. As the evolution nexus continued its cosmic dance above them, Sarah Chen knew that this wasn't really an ending at all. It was, as the title suggested, truly a new beginning, not just for humanity, not just for the Valorians, but for the very fabric of reality itself. The universe, it seemed, would never stop surprising them. And that, perhaps, was the greatest stability of all.